So here we go with John Began. Thanks for coming on, John.
Good to be here.
So you're with the City of Costa Mesa. You and I met by chance a couple years, like 2-3 years ago, and really enjoyed getting to know you. Tell me about your title and what you do for the city.
So I work for the City of Costa Mesa. I'm the Outreach Engagement Supervisor. And so my role is to oversee our outreach team that goes out every morning, work with code enforcement, work with outreach, and we're waking people up early in the morning, offering services to them, try to get them either into the shelter, rehab, detox, or whether help they need to get off the streets.
Gotcha. I want to know so much more about that, but before we get into that, I want to kind of learn about you. Are you from Costa Mesa originally, or are you from Southern California? Or
I was born in Detroit, came out here, I was about 9 months old. So I'm basically California.
Got it.
So grew up in Huntington Beach, Westminster, and kind of a dysfunctional family. Both my parents were alcoholics.
Okay.
And have 4 older siblings. They were all pretty much out of the house by the time my parents got divorced. So it was just basically my mom and I.
So you're the youngest of 5?
Youngest, brightest, smartest. I tell
all
them.
that.
That's what I tell them.
You got to show that to your brothers
Exactly.
and sisters, right?
I remind them all the time.
There we go. And so you were in Huntington Beach growing up here, and
Yeah.
and where'd you go to high school?
Went to Westminster High School.
Okay.
Was engaged in my senior year in high school. My first apartment at 18 was in Costa Mesa.
Do you mind if I ask what
Victoria.
year what that was?
78 I graduated, got married in 79.
And you're still married?
It'll be 47 years in April. We'll
Wow.
be together for 50 next October.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. That's why I
So-
have no hair, but can't see that.
You married your high school sweetheart, and
High
it
school
worked.
sweetheart. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
So growing up in an alcoholic household, you got
Yeah.
married right out of high school.
Yeah.
Then what happened? Like, what was your career path like? What did you decide I want to be this, or did you know at that time?
I'm 65. I still don't know what. No.
Yeah.
I always wanted to teach and coach.
Okay.
But very early age, I felt the calling to study more of the Bible.
Okay.
And not so much to be a preacher, but just really learn to study. So I was a meat cutter for 14 years.
Okay.
For 3 years, I cut meat for Alpha Beta. And then I decided to quit and go to Bible college in Texas.
Where'd you go to church back then?
Newland Street, Church of
Newlands?
Christ in Garden Grove.
So that wasn't part of the whole Chuck Smith Jesus movement. That was a little
Well,
different than that, or were you around that stuff?
I was around that stuff. I actually started going in the 7th grade to Calvary.
Okay.
Got baptized out at the Cove. Chuck Smith, they were still in the tent. They were just building their building, I think it was in 72.
Got it.
And started going there with my second oldest brother, and then moved a lot because of the divorce and mom having her issues. So then I started going to church with my oldest brother, and that's where I met my wife. I've known her since the 7th grade.
So you met your wife at Calvary Chapel at the
No, I met her at the Church of Christ.
Oh, at the
in
Church of
Garden
Christ.
Grove.
Okay.
Yeah, in the 7th grade. She was in the 8th grade, and she didn't like me then.
Got it. That's
So
why most boys that age go to churches, because
Yeah.
of a girl. Like,
Or your brother
Yeah.
dragging you.
Yeah, or your brother drags
The
you,
girls
right?
helped definitely.
Yeah.
So we've been together ever since.
got it. And so you eventually went to Bible college. What part of Texas?
Lubbock, Texas.
All
So
right.
it's a 2-year program. Graduated from there. Came back.
I know Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah.
You can look and see for
Flat.
200 miles
Yeah,
almost.
it's just flat.
Yeah.
But it was probably one of the best 2 years that we had. You're in a small community. You're all going through the same structure of, college, trying to stay afloat. I brought 2 guys out here with me to start a church startup in Huntington Beach.
Okay.
And along with my brother and a couple other guys. And so we did that for over 7 years. But I was cutting meat full-time and preaching and teaching and reaching out. So we did that for a good 7.5 years.
What was the name of that church?
Golden West Church of
Golden
Christ.
West. Still around?
Yeah. A remnant of it. So
Okay.
we had kind of had to close shop because a lot of the leaders, we were all working full-time jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So none of us were paid vocationally to do that. We would rotate the preaching and teaching among us. And our kids were growing up,
Yeah.
Little League, soccer, all that kind of stuff. So we did that for about 7 years. And we felt it would be better for us to go and work with some churches in the area, kind of help them that needed help, help with teaching and just being servants
Yeah.
there. So we did that for quite a while.
What was your congregation demographic like when you just started out being a pastor?
So when we started, we met in my brother's house. We had about 25 of us. Kids outnumbered the adults, type of deal. And then we grew to about 125, 130 for a while. But a lot of the leaders had to change jobs or move on. So put a lot of burden on a couple of us. And I was, like I said, I was still cutting meat. I was working in Hollywood, running a butcher shop there. So we just decided it was just a little bit too much. We felt the congregation was strong.
So was it mostly like Huntington Beach, young families?
Yeah, Huntington Beach young families.
Yeah.
People that we had known over the years from other churches that we had gone to, but other people that we baptized and grew. And we still stay in contact, a lot of us.
That's cool.
Actually, I got one of the couples that was part of the church plant. They're coming out to Yucca Valley next week.
Awesome. So kind of like a question on that has to do with the topic we were going to talk about, homelessness. Like, what was the homeless problem? Did it seem like it was today? Did you guys help with any of that kind of stuff? What was that like in Huntington Beach? What was that in the mid-'80s?
We had no clue of homelessness really back in the 80s. But our goal was to be broke each Sunday because we're helping people. We didn't want to get a building. We didn't want all the costs on a building. We weren't getting paid. But if we came across people in need, we wanted to help them and bless them. And if we didn't have any money left over at the end of the day, we were good.
Yeah.
We kept the lights on. We rented out a Murdy Park for a while, and then an elementary school as we grew.
I mean, I came here in '93. I wasn't here in the '80s, but I don't remember the homeless situation being anything like it is now back then. But that's just my memory. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Maybe I was.
Well, in the 90s, I think it started picking up. I was actually cutting meat in Hollywood, Sunset and Western. And that was my first real experience with homelessness. I would drive in, I worked 4 in the morning, so I'd get in at 2:30, 3 o'clock, and you see people under the freeways, people actually living in cardboard boxes, out the back of my meat department. I'd open up the door, and I'd have 10 people living in cardboard boxes.
Right there.
Right there. I had one time someone dropped off a hideaway bed. I could barely open up my door, and as I peeked out, there was 4 homeless people laying on the hideaway bed on my dock. So that, and every afternoon you go out either to lunch or walk out to your car, you're getting hit with the homeless. So that was my first real experience. I didn't know what I was doing, but.
Yeah. So you guys folded the church and went to some other churches, and then were you just a butcher and ran meat departments after then, or did you somehow like?
Well, we were still very active with churches. I was active with the church. I did some youth ministry and outreach in Mission Viejo. I ended up having 2 back surgeries, one in '93 and '95, so I had to change my career, and I went into computers, but my heart was still doing ministry whenever I could. Never wanted to be a preacher in a pulpit. I just gave people naps on Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
and I like teaching. I like just trying to be of service if I could. Okay. And it wasn't until 2010 that I started as a vocational preacher in Madera.
What is a vocational preacher for people that don't know?
Basically, someone that gets paid to do the preaching and teaching every Sunday.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's when you started getting a paycheck, 2010.
Yeah.
Somebody said, okay, we want to pay you to do this.
Yeah. I felt more of a calling. I was in Marietta doing associate minister. I ran Celebrate Recovery. Don't know if you're familiar with that. It's kind of like AA.
So let's talk about Celebrate Recovery, because a lot of people don't know what is Celebrate Recovery. I know what it is, but for people that don't know, explain what Celebrate Recovery is.
I always kind of explain it. It's AANA on steroids, but it's very biblical based on the 12 steps, but mainly the Beatitudes in Matthew, and so they take 12 steps, put them into 8 principles, and so it's just helping people with any hurts, habits, or hang-ups, not just drugs or alcohol, but could be overeating, could be porn addiction, depression, anxiety, whatever hang up we have,
Yeah.
you know? And so it deals with that from a biblical perspective. So I did that for 7 years.
And a lot of churches have Celebrate Recovery meetings.
Yeah.
Like the Crossing has one, I think, on Friday nights.
Yeah,
So.
they do it, they call it Lifelines.
Uh-huh.
They have them throughout. It started in Mission Viejo with, not Chuck Smith, but Rick Warren
Okay.
and John Baker.
Got it.
Started that. So I went through a little bit of training, and I said, I want to go back and teach everybody, and found out I probably need this more than other people. Really do. So it helped open my eyes to things that I had probably suppressed through my younger years, dealing with alcoholic parents and that type of stuff. So that has always driven me to be of service to people that are hurting.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so you were doing that, started that in 2010, and then how did that,
Did that.
how did that kind of like lead to
ministry. So
to ministry, and then like what you're doing now? Tell me that line of events.
So I felt more called while I was doing Celebrate to lead more, teach more. And so I said, you know, I think I'm going to step out. And I did a couple preaching tests in Madera and up north in Antioch or Atwater. And they both wanted to hire me. I ended up going to Madera and preached there for my first official vocational
Nice.
type of, as the pulpit minister. And that is not my gift, I don't think, you know. But we did a lot of good. We helped out a lot of people. We gathered 15,000 pounds of clothes and gave them out in 3 days
Oh, wow.
to the community. It's mostly farmer migrants that don't have a lot of money and fun. So in 2 weeks, we gathered over 15,000 pounds.
Wow.
And we got rid of all of it except for 6 boxes, all women's clothes. And they had just opened a women's shelter in the area. And so they got 6 boxes of clothes.
Nice.
I ended up with no clothes at all left over.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it was fun.
And then when that ended, how'd you get back down here?
So, long story short, leadership and I didn't quite meet eye to eye. Went to Victorville, had some friends that I had gone to church when I was younger. They said, "Oh, come here, we need outreach, And I said, okay. So I went out there for a year, and then Costa Mesa called. I knew several people here at the church in Costa Mesa. They said, John, you need to come. I said, no, I don't want
Was
to
it
go.
the Church of Christ Church in
Church of
Costa
Christ,
Mesa?
yeah,
Okay.
on Wilson Street. And that's how I got involved in homelessness. They had already been feeding the homeless for 27 years before I got there. Every Tuesday night, they would feed 120, 130 people. And so I kind of inherited, walked into that. So you have a choice to either go through that door that you feel is open up to you or close it and do something else. But I felt called to do more of that and kind of cranked it up a little bit. Ended up having 14 people homeless living at the church, and did that for 7 years, every Tuesday night.
Is there like a story like when you went to that church that really like, you know, you talked about that door opened up? Is there somebody you met that was homeless that you just went wow? And
So when I interviewed, I actually, they actually offered me the job. But so I went a couple weeks early, and just to check it out one Tuesday night. What it's like having 120, 130 people homeless, you know, coming to the church and feeding them. And the first guy I met, his name was Joe, and I'm passing out food, and he was like the first one going through the lane. He goes, "Aren't you just enabling us?" I thought that was unique from a homeless guy. "Aren't you just enabling us?" I said, "We probably are, but that's going to change. We're going to be intentional about when we enable, you know? So any kind of ministry you do, you've got to be intentional about what you're doing."
right.
And so for a whole year, I didn't make a lot of changes. I just kind of observed and tried to be of service, and grew over the years that we need to make some changes and breathe into them. Because to be honest with you, the church wasn't breathing into them. They were just, here's food, God bless, see you next week, you know, that type of stuff. So I wasn't working for the city at the time, but I was meeting with the city for Network for Home Solutions every Thursday. And I wanted their outreach workers to come to the church on Tuesday night because they weren't coming. I said, this is the only way we're going to get them housed, if they meet with the outreach team. And so they started doing the interviews, started getting the paperwork done to get them to see what they qualify for in housing. And they started housing people then, people that were coming on Tuesday. So I felt we were making a change in what we were doing.
You were bridging the gap.
Bridging that gap.
Yeah.
So I had, what really put us over the top, when I had a young mom. She had, well, actually, her daughter got a scholarship at Vanguard University,
Oh, wow.
full scholarship. And I got a call one Sunday afternoon after I was trying to take my nap because I put everybody to sleep earlier. So I get to go home and take my nap. And I got a call from a guy in Stockton. Doesn't know me. He says, hey, I got a lady in Costa Mesa. She's homeless and she's having like a nervous breakdown. And I heard you help with the homeless. He knew a guy in Colorado who knew me, who said, go see John or call John. So went and met with her. She came, the mom got transferred to Sprouts here in Costa Mesa. And when she showed up, her landlord.
She got transferred to Sprouts.
So she was from Palm Palm Springs area.
Okay.
So she got transferred down here at a Sprouts. And when she showed up at her apartment, the apartment manager said, oh, we meant to tell you a couple weeks ago, your credit's no good.
Yeah.
And you need $2,000 cash. She's a single mom, doesn't have any money, any of that. So she ended up homeless. No intention. Daughter's got a free scholarship to Vanguard, and here they are, homeless. So happened a friend of mine at the church had just picked up his dad's 28-foot trailer and put it on the church property. So I called him up and said, how would you like a mom and daughter staying in your trailer until we find them housing?
Yeah.
He said, no problem. And so that was my first real step out on faith and really helping the homeless, I felt, And so Sprouts wouldn't hire her because you don't have a place to live. So I had to talk to Sprouts, kind of had a good heart-to-heart with them, and said, you need to hire her, or this is going to be an issue. So another Sprouts hired her, and she did very good, rose up to management. She's now housed. Daughter graduated from Vanguard, and is just doing fantastic.
So that mom had a place to live, got transferred to Sprouts because she was working at another Sprouts, and she wanted to move here because her daughter got a scholarship to Vanguard.
Yeah.
And like that, she's homeless.
Homeless.
And is that common?
Nowadays it is.
It is.
It is.
Just somebody's home, has a house, has something
Yeah.
going on, and an event happens, and all of a sudden that person is.
We're seeing that more and more right now. The demographic is changing in the homeless community. Used to be younger, drugs, alcohol, all that stuff. Now, our shelter, it's a 100-bed shelter, and our average age is 63 years old in the shelter. And some have never had any drug issues, no alcohol issues. They lost a job, they lost a spouse, they're on a set income, rent is being jacked up, and they can't get any more money. People don't want to hire a 60-something-year-old. And so they used all their savings and living in a car, motel to motel, and then now they're in our shelter.
So it's happening more and more with our
More and more.
elderly community.
Yeah, throughout. We just met with some people from the county, and they're saying the same thing. The trend is older demographic that's coming in. Never been homeless before, never thought they would be homeless.
Rent is what, doubled in the last 4 or 5 years?
Pretty close, yeah.
And Social Security is not
No. Well, I'll give you an idea.
gone up.
When I got my first apartment as 18-year-old off of Victoria, 2-bedroom paid $265. Now that's $2,500, $3,000 almost for a
Right.
2-bedroom.
For a 2-bedroom. That's not a nice 2-bedroom. That's just
No.
a normal.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So people are getting older.
Yeah.
People are on a fixed income that may not have family support.
Yeah.
What happens to that person when they wind up in the street and they don't have anywhere to go?
We get them. So in order to get any kind of subsidized housing, you have to have at least 1 year homelessness. These people don't have their homelessness. So a lot of them are getting their 1 year homelessness in the shelter. But it's not a forever home. It's not a place to get it. Usually it's, we try to, within 6 months, try to help them out and move towards the housing. But as long as they're working towards the housing and it's obstacles beyond their control, but yet they're trying, they can stay there as long as we can.
And our shelter's supposed to be a temporary place for people to get on their
Yeah,
feet.
yeah,
And normally, it's historically been for
6 months.
younger people
Yeah,
that
younger
might
people.
have some addiction issues,
Right.
might have some mental health issues, things of that nature.
Yeah.
But people that I don't want to call it crime, but their situation, their burden is they're too old
Yeah.
to get a job. They don't have family support,
Yeah.
and they can't live on the fixed income that they've probably worked their whole lives and paid into to set up.
Yeah,
And they're in our shelter, which is nice for a shelter, but it's dorm style living,
Yeah.
correct? And the beds
Yeah.
are all in one room for the females and all in one room for the males.
got some bunk beds, so a lot of them can't do the top bunk. So we've had to turn some people away just because they couldn't do a top bunk. So makes it a little difficult
Yeah.
for them.
If I'm older, I can't get a job, Social Security, I've run through most of my retirement, I can't afford to pay my rent anymore because it
Yeah.
was $1,500 5 years ago, and I could manage that, and I'd planned for maybe going up 5-6% a year. Has doubled in the last 4 or 5 years. Then I'm out on the street.
Yeah,
Then I go to the shelter. I have to be homeless for a year before I'm able to get a housing voucher because I'm in some kind of line. And is that a realistic thing to think after a year I'm going to get a housing voucher? Is or no?
no, because one of the major things they look at for housing, for subsidized, is your length of homelessness. So a year is nothing. So they'll be on that list for a long time.
What's average right now?
The average weight,
Yeah,
probably 6 to 8.
6 to 8 years homeless
Yeah.
before I can get a housing
Yeah.
voucher.
So what we're trying to do now is educate them as they come in that they got to think alternatively to their housing situation, whether it's assisted living, whether it's getting a place together with someone else, whether it's a room rental. And when you're older, that's huge change for people. And so they don't want to think about that. They're used to either having their own place, and it's a big, big adjustment just coming into the shelter alone. So what I'll do is someone's kind of iffy, I said, just come visit. You know, let's do a little tour of the shelter, see if you think you can do this. We got $1 million commercial kitchen. It's clean. We got 4 housing navigators that are very good, great hearts, and they'll see what they can get you to qualify for. You know,
That is really sad.
it is very tough to see that.
Because most of these people don't have mental illness. They don't have addiction.
Yeah,
They're not the people that I might run into when I'm out
yeah,
asking for $1 or $2, which,
Right.
you know, those people also have a story and are human beings
Yeah.
too, but
yeah,
there's more to that.
yeah,
This is just, I got too old.
yeah. So
Wow.
I always said there's no one reason for homelessness and there's no one solution. So we've got to get creative at the shelter and even out in the streets for the housing, because the vouchers that were just given out like candy during COVID, that's dried up. And when you lose $28 billion and you don't know where it's at, it's going to be a long time before we get more any kind of funding in that regards.
So do you have any success stories from some elderly people that are maybe doing good now? You can tell me one or two.
Yeah, there's this one gal, she, very sweet gal. She, in her 60s, lost her husband, gathered up a lot of medical bills, because in the hospital and aftercare. Never been homeless before. Came into the shelter after her husband passed away, and went through the routine. She was there quite a while. She did qualify what's called for rapid rehousing, which is they'll pay your first and your last and couple months rent, and then you got to pay the full rent after yourself. Well, she was applying for place after place and getting rejected all the time. She'd been there for over a year and a half, and she's trying as hard as she can, but she doesn't have that length of homelessness, set income, but her credit was really bad because she had a lot of debt. So one afternoon, we're talking amongst the navigator. Said, "What's going on?" She goes, "Why does she keep on getting rejected? What's going on?" He said, "Well, her credit's bad." I said, "Well, what are you doing to fix the credit?" "Well, we don't know what to do." This is a different group that's handling the navigation, not my team now. But so we gave them several suggestions on what to do. Call the hospitals, call the debt collectors, see if they can reduce it. She had over $20,000 in debt. We talked to the debt collectors. She wrote some letters, and we got it down to $1,500. And she was making payments on that. So her credit just jumped really quick. First place she applied for after that, she got it.
Nice.
So she's been housed now for 3.5, 4 years.
Oh, great.
So she's doing good. But she just needed a place to breathe, a place to kind of get her bearings together, and some hand-holding to get through that process.
Yeah.
And so she's doing really good.
Why else do people become homeless?
There was, two main things is substance abuse and mental health. So those people that have mental health, to me, they're more of a challenge to work with because rationale doesn't always click with them. You try to rational them, hey, we're going to do this, and it's just not in their wheelhouse right now. So they need a lot of hand-holding. And they've just been broken for whatever reason. Sometimes they've been told they've been broken, and so they believe they're broken, and they live that out. And they don't think they can take the next step. Having people that will believe in them, invest in them, handhold them through that process, and they can make it. The other is the substance abuse, and mainly with that, they're just not done yet. By not being done, they're still.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot on this podcast. Yeah.
So, and you got to be done, and I learned that at a very, very early age with my mom. I put her in and out of rehabs at 9 years old, 10 years old. I put her in college hospital when I was 12 because she would have nervous breakdowns and she wouldn't go to work for days. I would have to call my older brother and said, "Hey, come get mom."
Yeah.
And a lot of it was just a lot of guilt. They didn't know what to do. They just felt unworthy and lonely, and they just bottled up and closed off. So opening that up, getting them to see that they're loved and they're cared for, and that's not who their identity needs to be. And once they start grasping that and getting a hold of that, you see tremendous amount of change.
Yeah. I know a big issue for a lot of people in the city is there's a lot of treatment centers in Southern California, and there's people coming from out of state. Are you seeing a lot of those people wind up homeless still? Or I know that was an issue a couple years ago. Is that still a thing?
It's still a thing, but one of the things that Costa Mesa does that probably better than any city is reconnections. So if they come out from wherever, they come over all over the United States for rehab, and they walk out, test out, drop out, kick out, all that, or insurance scams. We get a lot of insurance scams. They'll come out, "Oh yeah, we'll take care of your deal," and then a month later they drop them. "Oh, your insurance is over with," and now they're homeless here. So when we find them on the street, we offer them reconnection. Now the sober living homes are supposed to do that, but they always find a way around it. So in the last 4 years, we've probably reconnected 170 people that we've got them reconnected back home.
Yeah.
So what we do is we run a background check, make sure they're not running from the law. We contact family or whoever they have a place to go to. We're not going to send them back to Wisconsin in the winter, in the snow, and be homeless.
Yeah.
Right? We will contact, they have to give us a contact person. We talk to them. We try to vet them the best that we can, that it's going to be a good place for them, and then we'll pay for them to go back to Wisconsin. And then we follow up, make sure that they got their back. So the last one was was it Detroit? I think a couple of weeks ago. Got someone back to Detroit.
Do you have a story, anybody that you sent back that maybe called you and said, "Hey, I'm doing good now," or?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We have a couple that say, "Hey, thank you, appreciate it. This really saved my life." I've had one where we had a guy who came out here, got him found him in a hotel, just having a bad time, called our number, and we've followed up with him. Called with his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, back in Jersey. And we'll we'll take him back in, you know. So I drove him to the airport. It was actually on the 4th of July.
This year?
2 years ago.
Here.
And so I dropped him off pretty early. I had to take him to LAX. So I drop him off. I get back to my office, and he's calling me. He goes, I'm texting my girlfriend, X, and she thinks this is a bad idea and I shouldn't come. I said, dude, I bought you the ticket. You're going, you know, type of deal. So I said, what are you telling her? And he sent me all the texts, and he was saying all the right things. I mean, he was humble. He was gracious. He acknowledged her fear and all that kind of stuff. But she still really didn't want any part of it. So I had a friend of mine who was from Boston, and he did church plants. And I called him up and said, hey, I got this guy coming into Boston. This is a situation. You got anything that you can help him with? He needs to go to Jersey. He goes, well, I got a guy in Boston who just started a church. He can pick him up, and then we can get him to Jersey. And because I have a guy there that started a sober living home. And the guy wanted to go into sober living when he got there. And so the guy, my friend, he's in Florida on vacation, and he takes my call. He coordinates with his friend in Boston, met him at the airport, put him in for a night, then took him to Jersey and handed him off to the guy that just started sober living. He sponsored him for 2 weeks and got him a job, and he's doing good. So,
isn't that amazing how, like,
yeah,
God lines up the stars for
He
some
does.
people, and
Yeah.
when they're willing and they want to get sober, it always seems to be those angels. Like, at least in my sobriety,
Yeah.
people appeared when I was ready. Like
Yeah.
you said, when we're ready, people and things
Yeah.
appeared.
yeah. So,
And
but-
that's cool that the city is one of those
Yeah.
angels that appeared in this guy's life, and
Yeah.
he's doing good now.
And really, I really did was just call some people that I knew that were good people, that really what the church should be, and breathing into people and giving back.
So I think most people, like, at least walking around town, don't understand. You know, you see somebody homeless and you're like, oh, there's a homeless person. Right. And I think we've all been guilty of it, is we don't look past that and know that person's a human and was somebody's son. Or
Don't know their
daughter,
story.
Don't know their
You know.
story. You know, and I know there's a lot of, like, people in Costa Mesa that maybe have been part of the community at one time, then all of a sudden wind up homeless.
Yeah.
Is there, you know, what, like, one of the things that I was the most impressed with when I started learning about what was going on, and it was really cool how I learned what's going on. Mike, who is my neighbor, who is
Great guy.
a great guy, he works for code enforcement, but he also works with you guys, and he helps get people moving in the morning. And I met him at 5 o'clock one morning and went on a ride along, and then he brought me up and introduced me to you and Nate, who we're going to have on the show too. I was blown away at how much the city actually cares and does for the homeless population.
I'm blessed to work with Costa Mesa. Actually, it's probably one of the best jobs I've had. Just the people that I get to work. Nate, who you're going to interview tomorrow, is amazing. He's smart, good looking, but he's got a heart of gold, right?
Yeah.
And he's always looking to fill the gaps where homeless people are falling through the gaps, because it's hard to navigate. Even for someone that's clean, sober, and well, if you talk to my wife, I'm somewhat sane. But, you know, just to navigate through that is very hard, and people fall through gaps. And that's kind of how we met and said, hey, there's a gap. We need to fill this gap. And you were able to help do that for a couple of our people. And so that's what Nate is always trying to do. And it's just hard to navigate through that whole mess. Mike is amazing. He's our, what I call point of the spear. He's meeting the people for the first time. He directs them to my outreach team. But Costa Mesa has great support from city council, from our mayor, city manager. They put in a 100-bed shelter that costs over $4 million a year. We partner with Newport Beach, but it's a huge commitment for the city. And Nate will talk about that.
Yeah, I want to get into
more.
all that with him tomorrow. But what I really am curious about is, like, one of the things that struck me, because I got to go. What was the meeting I went to where everybody met?
It's the Network for Homeless Solutions
Network
meeting.
for Homeless
Right.
Solutions meeting, where all these different
partners
in the community get together, and you guys knew most of these. clients or people you're trying to serve
Yes.
by name. You knew their stories.
Yeah.
You guys were working together. So tell me a little bit about the network for Homeless Solutions and what that's about. And then I'd like to know, I want to kind of ask about some of those specific organizations.
All right. So this started 13 years ago. Mariel Ullman, Rick Francis, who was here at the time, Ian from Trellis, they got together and said, what are our needs in Costa Mesa? Homelessness, education, and neighboring. And so we focused on homelessness. And what do the homeless need? We actually interviewed the homeless, say, what do you need to help you get off? So we started the check-in center, a couple other things.
The check-in centers where?
That was at the Crossing Church.
Okay.
They just ended it the first of this year. It was very hard to, but they operated for 13 years. No other city had that, where the homeless could store their belongings. They could come 6 days a week, twice a day, and get their belongings or drop off stuff in a 25, 30-gallon container and just keep it, because they were losing it, or it was all over the city.
Right.
Right? And it gets stolen, and they would lose it, but it spread all over the place. So that came of that. And what we did was we bought people that were doing things for the homeless, but this church was doing this group was doing that. They weren't working together.
Kind of like when you were at the Church of Christ serving on Tuesday.
So we said, look, we got to work together. So they started this Network for Home Solutions with some people that were already in SOS, Share Ourselves, Soup Kitchen. We started the check-in center in the Lots, Life on the Streets program.
Is there still a check-in center?
There's not a check-in center, but there is still Life on the Streets on Saturday at the Crossing from 7 in the morning, 6:30 if you're going to do a shower and laundry, to 11 o'clock.
And so they can come over there, do their laundry.
Every Saturday, get
Take a
laundry,
shower.
take a shower. They have a back-to-work type of program where they will do a project out in the city. They have a contract with Costa Mesa. They had one with Newport, but no longer. And you'll see people walking around in yellow shirts, picking up trash, different streets of Costa Mesa. And then at the end of the day, they'll get a $50 gift card.
Okay.
So it'll help them. For some, they were homeless and now they're housed, and it helps pay their rent or helps them get food on the table. For some, just helps them, get food throughout the week, that type of stuff.
Got it.
So that still goes on. They can get a breakfast on Saturday morning, clothes, haircuts, bike repair, all that. And so we used to have part of our team down there on Saturday. We're short a person, but we're getting a new person coming on here in December. And so hopefully we'll have an outreach person there at that event.
Got it.
So
What would you say is one of the biggest providers of services outside of the city and the government for homeless in our city? Who is that?
the two biggest ones are Linda Miles at the Lighthouse.
Okay.
She's
And
been
that's the
doing
Lighthouse
this-
Church right here on 19th Street, right?
Yeah, 1885 Anaheim Street.
Okay.
That's right by the In-N-Out, across the street from the In-N-Out
Right.
there. They've been doing that for a long time. They were housing people. They were our problem, 13 years ago, because they were feeding them, and people would just go there and be all over the place. But we actually end up putting our temporary shelter there, and they were gracious to let us use their place. Now Linda just does an amazing job. She feeds not just the homeless, but she feeds those that were homeless are now housed, who are in very low income and can't really afford it. She helps people in the city that are low income, feeds them. They have a men's program there where they can have up to 16 people. But she works with a lot of the homeless that don't want to come into the shelter, but they want housing. And so she gets their paperwork ready, we get it uploaded, and work towards their housing that way. She has a guy that's staying there now that just got approved for housing. So it was because of all her paperwork and getting her into getting it to us and us getting it uploaded. And now hopefully he'll be housed here pretty shortly.
Love it.
So, and Mike McGlenn, who's absolutely amazing. He's got one of the biggest hearts. He oversees the outreach for Share Ourselves on Superior.
Okay, let's share ourselves.
Share Ourselves, they initially started where they were doing medical and dental and mental health and substance abuse assistance. Their main building was at 1550 Superior, and that has now moved to off of Adams. I don't know the exact address. So they move all the medical there. Mike is still doing outreach. They're at 1550, but that's probably going to close here pretty soon. They let people do mail. They have 400 people that get their mail delivered there.
Okay.
So they help them get their mail. Mike also helps with getting them document ready, helps them with their housing. He just has a huge heart. They would have their mobile clinic come to the shelter every Wednesday. And so since they changed, we're going to be changing that up a little bit. But Mike is amazing. He really just got a great heart. Love the guy. We help each other out. Before I started working with the city, I was working for Trellis, a nonprofit, and the church. And if I needed to put somebody up in a hotel and I didn't have funds, hey, Mike, how you doing? I got, Yeah. And he would call me, hey, John, I got someone. Can you? So we just help each other out.
Yeah.
And that's what makes Costa Mesa so strong, our collaboration that we have with everybody.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people think that, and the other thing I realized from hanging out with you guys, a lot of people think that, I didn't know all this stuff till I met you guys.
Yeah.
And I've been a resident here for a long time. A lot of people just think that we're apathetic to the homeless. The people that you're seeing that are out on the streets, spending the night out on the streets, are they doing that by choice? Or are there most of the time some avenues for them to at least get into a shelter?
yes, it's a little bit of both. We got some that they like the lifestyle of being homeless and being on the streets. Like I said, they're not done yet. They still want to do some of their shenanigans. But there's some people that it's hard for them to go into a shelter. It's a huge adjustment, especially if you've been living outside for a while. We had a guy who's now in the shelter, homeless over 20 years. 20 years we've been asking him, come in the shelter, since 2012. Come into the shelter. 2019, I'm sorry. And no. And then, because we don't give up. Our motto is, we'll take you where you're at today. Because today, you might want it in the shelter. Yesterday, you didn't. Yesterday, you were yelling, cussing, spitting at me. But today, something happened, and you want to get in the shelter. So we'll take you. And I think that's one of our strengths in the city with my outreach team, Jimmy, myself, Mike, is that we don't give up. We'll take you where you're at. I had a woman call me today. She wants back in the shelter. She's been in 4 times, and she never lasts more than a week because she's not done, And it's hard for her to make that adjustment. And then she calls me up, hey, can I get in the shelter again? So we put some behavioral health on it, said what's going to be different. Made her walk through that with me, and then tomorrow we'll probably get her in the shelter. And we'll pick up where we left off, and we go from there. So we've had people in and out of the shelter 6, 7, 8 times. But we try to lean into them, some love and truth, but also firmness as well. So our motto is love, grace, and firmness.
Love, grace, and firmness. I love it. What do you think the biggest hurdle you guys have from a mental health standpoint and an addiction standpoint to convince people to get help? And then I have a follow-up question with that. What's your biggest hurdle? From a government standpoint, or from a rule standpoint, a regulation standpoint?
Nate will cover a lot of how we're trying to fill that gap. Things that we're trying to do to get them mental health. One, they don't always want it. They don't want to get on meds because they don't like the way it feels, or they'll do, and then after a while, okay, I'm good now. And so they drop the meds, getting the meds. It's really that want to on the mental health. They don't want to be labeled mental health. They feel like stigma, people are going to label that, and that's stuck with them with the rest of their life. And so we try to educate them. Mental health is not needing a white jacket in a foam padded room. It's anxiety, depression, worry, all different kinds of things. If you've been out on the street for any length of time, you're going to have some mental health issues because you're always looking over, you're not sleeping well. They stop taking care of themselves. And so they break down and don't think they deserve it or can. So that's a big obstacle, hopefully convincing them that, hey, there is hope. You can do this. And but finding them places that they can go to. So that's a challenge, what their insurance will carry. That's probably a big obstacle for us. We got a lot of providers, but they don't take this insurance or that insurance. And those are hard to navigate through sometimes.
Sure.
And so the cost of that is tremendous. Nate will tell you about some behavioral health funds that we have now that has helped fill that gap and overcome some of those hurdles that we've had to. And then the substance abuse, just them being done. We have quite a few rehabs here, but they don't always go. Some of them been there and didn't have good experience. We have a few medical detoxes. We have a few that's not medical and they have a hard time adjusting, going through it non-medically. So finding those in the process to get them in, to help. And then now with seniors, getting that senior help to find places for seniors to go to.
Yeah.
They don't want to go to assisted living. They think if they go to assisted living, that's a place for them to go and die. So we're trying to connect them to good resources that will do that have good places. And also, we'll take them on visits to hey, what do you think of this place? Can you see yourself? And it's not forever. It can be temporary until you kind of catch your breath and you're able to save up or whatever, and we find a better place for you. But let's get you off the street, out of your car, out of a hotel, and get you a place where you can get some medical attention, where you can breathe, and hopefully get some hope.
Yeah. I had Chris P on. I'm not going to say his last name, but he's part of a family who a couple of his brothers were homeless around here. Had him on last week on the show, and I don't know if you remember the story, but our girl Taryn, who you met, went down to San Diego and found him at his camp and brought him back, and then he went to the hospital. He was a day or two away from dying because he had pneumonia so bad. And he's got a long length of sobriety now, place, a car, a job, all the above, man. Yeah. And it's like, it's really neat to see. And I got to hear his story, and he was just kind of a normal kid in a dysfunctional family, and wasn't ever homeless until he was. What would you tell people? There's so many people, like my neighbors and myself included, before I kind of met you guys, that just have such a misconception of the situation and just walking by people and ignoring them and that kind of stuff. What would you want to say to just the normal guy out there that's the citizen of Costa Mesa or Newport that doesn't understand the homeless crisis? It kind of just looks at it like a nuisance.
Well, it can't be a nuisance. I mean, Mike will tell you, I tell you, love, grace, and firmness, and sometimes firmness comes before the love and grace because you've dealt with them numerous times, right? And so you can get a little frustrated along that way. You don't want to enable, but also you don't want to judge because hopefully you can know their story. Recommend, don't give them food, don't give them money, direct them to us because there is hope, there is shelter. You're just enabling them to continue in their state, right?
Yeah, so giving a guy $20 in Target parking lots probably not doing any good.
No, you're enabling them to continue doing it. So why would they go get a job? Why would they make anything different when they can gather up sometimes several $100s in a day by panhandling, and now they go and they get their drugs, they can get a place to stay, they can stay out and do whatever they want to do, and leave all their trash and everything, and they're not going to change. I'm a firmer believer you got to be made uncomfortable in order for change to take place.
Sure.
Whether you're homeless or where you're just in a situation in your life.
All of us have had that point in our life where we got uncomfortable. We needed to make a change and do something different.
So not in an ugly way or mean way, but they just said, look, here's resources for you. You can call this number, and that's our hotline, and we answer it every day, and we'll follow up within 24 hours, and we'll see what we can do to help, and we'll go from there. got a phone call. Mike called me, 5 o'clock this morning, and said, hey, I got a girl out here that's in bad shape. Boyfriend beat her up, and now she's got no place to go. Had gotten a call earlier from Hope Hospital that she was at. Not doing well. Want to know if I could help her. We played phone tag yesterday, and her phone died, so we didn't really connect yesterday. But come out this morning, there she is on the sidewalk, sleeping with her dog. And boyfriend got arrested. And she has no ties to Costa Mesa. So what we do, we don't just, oh, you're not from Costa Mesa, get out here. What we try to do is get them connected to resources and services so they're not homeless and to where the help that can help them, right? That's a lot of people in the city will say, well, you're just inviting people to come here because you have all these resources, and so everyone's dumping their people. That's not true. If they are dumping them,
And that is a rumor. Oh, Irvine just drops people off
Yeah.
in Costa Mesa because Costa Mesa has all this stuff.
and somewhat of it is, yeah,
Some of that's true.
some of that's true. Some know that we have resources. Some come here and say, oh, I hear you have resources. You know, so what brings you here in Costa Mesa? Oh, we hear you have resources. I like the vibe, you know. Okay, you're here, but these are our rules. We're not going to serve you. We're not going to get you in our shelter. We can't help you with your homeless move, but we can direct you to where you can get services because this is where you're from. And some go, some don't, and we just try to move through that the best that we can. But we know who's who in our streets, you know.
Yeah.
So we're pretty light. Our activity now is very light compared to what it used to be. And what's helped that is Prop 36. And our police department has enforcing that.
Well, you do notice a difference, and I'll tell you, I notice a big difference at Airplane Park. I would never
Yeah.
take my kid to Airplane Park.
Yeah.
And now I can go to Airplane Park with my 6-year-old. There's kids playing. There's not, you don't have to worry about needles being in the grass and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And
It's real nice.
Yeah, I was over there 10 years ago coaching a Little League game, and a couple homeless guys got in a fight right outside the outfield out there, and all the kids stopped and watched it, you know, and now it's like it seems to be really cleaned up. So that was Prop 36, so that was a positive thing.
That definitely positive. It's helped out tremendously. So with that, some changing of the funds that are available. And so we're trying to educate them. Look at, don't wait because your buddy got a voucher 2 years ago during COVID that you're going to get that voucher too. Well, I've been homeless longer than him and blah, blah, blah. And he's doing this. It's changed. It's a different culture. So you've got to start thinking differently. So the best thing we can do, I think, is educate them, educate our community that there is help for people, direct them towards our help. And they can go to SOS every Friday at 9 in the morning till 11, and county outreach will be there. So county can help them get into our county shelter in Yale and other shelters that they might have ties to. They might be from Anaheim. They can get them tied into Anaheim.
Do you guys ever have any situations where a family's homeless with young kids?
Oh, yeah.
What happens to those families? What happens to kids that...
So last year, we were the only city in all of California to help with families. If you had a kid that was in our school district and was homeless, living in a hotel or car or on the streets, we provide hotel stays for them, sometimes for months and months. And we would work them through the providers, SPIN, Serving People in Need, and Families Forward. They have grants that help families. So we would get all the paperwork ready, give them to them, and get housed. Just at this one of the hotels, we had 36 families in a year, and we housed 34 of them.
Oh, wow.
The other ones, they were just playing a game.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So they were abusing the system. So we have Molly, who does our families. She's amazing. Now,
So is that like a red alert? This is a family with kids. You guys just accelerate everything as fast as you can on that?
We do, but we're not doing that now because we spent over $500,000 housing that, and that's just not in the budget.
So what do
anymore.
we do now for kids?
So now we don't put them in the hotel, but we do get them connected with Families Forward, with SPIN, and his OC, and sometimes they have beds available, sometimes they don't, but we try to work towards
What happens
that.
if they don't? What happens to that kid? Does he sleep outside that night? Does CPS get involved? Like, how does that work?
Sometimes CPS will. We try not to if we can avoid that. This is where our partnership comes with Linda Miles, with Mike McGlynn. We've kind of helped each other out
Gotcha.
a little bit. You know,
Gotcha.
sometimes they just need a couple days for a shelter bed to come open.
Yeah.
You know, some refuse it. Some we try to get them connected back to family, to where family will take them in. You know, whereas before they wouldn't do it, but when we get involved, sometimes their doors open up a little bit better. It is very hard when that takes place, but it is extremely expensive to do that. $500,000 in, 1 year, and it wasn't budgeted for.
Yeah.
Right? So we try to be creative as we can and help out where we can.
Got it.
Try to get the churches involved. We've had some churches step up and pay for, a week or so, and gives us a little bit more time to work with them, while they're in the hotel. But we're very diligent with them on them getting their paperwork, them looking for work, and not just letting them kick back and relax.
Yeah.
Type of deal.
All right. Final question.
All right.
What is your message for just anybody out there listening about the homeless situation, in a positive note? Like what positive thing, the progress we've made and the availability of hope.
Yeah. In the city of Costa Mesa, there's not a better group of people that work together to help people. It isn't just one person. It's not just me getting someone off the street. It's Linda Miles. It's Mike McGlynn. It's Soup Kitchen. It's Crossing Church. It's Grace Church. It's everyone coming together to make this happen and just be a part of that. Give back. But that there's hope. There is hope out there for them. And when you do see people down and out, there's some that are just doing shenanigans. We know those that are doing shenanigans, and we try to stay on top of them as much as possible. But some of those people change because someone came up to them and just listened to them or smiled or said hi, how you doing, type of stuff, or directed them to some help. So there is hope out there. We've all, as my wife says, we have more hang-ups than a phone company, but we can help them with that, and we just keep on loving them. That's the best thing we can do with anybody.
Love it.
Love God, love others,
Yeah.
and serve a broken world, and things will change. And our streets have changed. They have changed. You go down 19th Street this morning, we drove down there, not a single homeless person was down 19th Street at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
or
wow.
5:30.
That wasn't the case when I went on that ride along 3 years ago.
No, it wasn't. And Jimmy, this morning, he came across maybe 4 people. And Mike, from Keesler Park all the way to 16th Street and all the way down 17th Street here, we came across maybe 5, 6 people. That was we would hit 20, 30 easy.
Well, that's what I hit that morning with him.
Yeah.
It was probably 25 people we stopped and got moving.
Yeah, so I think we've made a dent. In the 4+ years that we've had the shelter open, we've housed over 470 people off the streets of Costa Mesa.
Wow.
And some of those are the reconnections, some of them are death, but also we've lost a minimum of 70 that we've lost that have passed away
Yeah.
in just that period of time. So you're looking over 550 people that have been off the streets of Costa Mesa.
Well, John, thank you for your service to our
Thank you.
city, and thank you for coming on. This has been awesome for me.
Well,
I appreciate
I
you.
hope it was all right.
It was great. Thanks.
Thank you, brother.